Tonight, historic Supreme Court decisions. Justices handing down a major blow to President Trump's immigration agenda. The high-stakes ruling upholding birthright citizenship, striking down the president's controversial executive order banning automatic citizenship to babies born to undocumented immigrants. The other big ruling, letting states ban transgender women and girls from playing on female sports teams. Also breaking tonight, the hazmat scare outside Philadelphia. A train with hazardous materials on board. You see it there derailing, cars flying off the tracks, people nearby told to shelter in place. A life-threatening heat wave scorching nearly 200 million this holiday week, plus explosive wildfires in the west. This doorbell cam in the eye of the firestorm. Al Roker's tracking it all. The chilling 911 call after a deadly alligator attack in Florida. What we're learning about the woman killed after going for a swim. President Trump's financial disclosure just released, the $1 billion he's earned from crypto. Serena Williams back in action, the 23-time Grand Slam champ falling just short in her first singles match in years. Daring rescue. Look at this. First responders forming a human chain to save a driver from this sinking car. Surprise passenger, a driver discovering a black bear sitting in the front seat of his truck. And our series, Great Americans, the retired Air Force Lieutenant Colonel keeping the legacy of the Tuskegee Airmen alive, inspiring younger generations to take flight. Nightly News starts right now.
This is NBC Nightly News with Tom Llamas.
Good evening. I'm Hallie Jackson in for Tom tonight, and we are coming on the air with the historic day at the Supreme Court. Crowds outside for major rulings on two controversial issues that could affect thousands across the country. The justices dealing a big blow to President Trump's immigration agenda, ruling he cannot ban automatic citizenship for babies born to undocumented immigrants in this country. That's a right that has been guaranteed under our Constitution for more than 150 years. And in a win for President Trump, the High Court deciding states can ban transgender athletes from competing in girls' and women's sports. The president's been pushing for a ban since the campaign trail. The reaction tonight? Intense, with new questions about what happens from here. Laura Jarrett starts us off with that landmark birthright decision.
Tonight, the U.S. Supreme Court dealing a major blow to President Trump's immigration crackdown, striking down his controversial executive order that sought to ban automatic U.S. citizenship for babies born to undocumented immigrants. The president today slamming the court's decision as too bad for our country, while immigration advocates celebrated it.
The fact is that if you're born here, you're an American citizen, period.
The president has long railed against birthright citizenship enshrined in the 14th Amendment to the Constitution passed after the Civil War.
This was not meant for Chinese billionaires to have their children become citizens of our country. This was meant, or other rich people, poor people. This was meant for the babies of slaves.
But today, Chief Justice John Roberts, writing for the majority, reaffirming the long-settled understanding of the 14th Amendment, guaranteeing citizenship to all children born in the U.S. and subject to its power, with limited exceptions. Writing, quote, the framers of the 14th Amendment extended that promise to every free-born person in this land. We keep that promise today. In dissent, Justice Samuel Alito calling the ruling a serious mistake that preserves a powerful incentive to enter or remain in this country illegally. The executive order, if allowed, could have potentially impacted more than 250,000 babies born in the U.S. every year to non-citizens. 13-year-old Mia expressing relief today that families like hers can now stay together.
This is our home. We belong here.
Laura is joining us now. And Laura, even though some Republicans are pushing already to respond to this ruling, it looks pretty unlikely they'd succeed.
It does, Hallie. They're facing an uphill battle based on today's ruling. It's clear Republicans would need a constitutional amendment to pass this, which of course requires a supermajority in Congress as well as action by state legislatures, Hallie.
Laura Jarrett, thank you. To that other landmark ruling now. This one, a win for President Trump, with the conservative majority ruling states can ban transgender women and girls from playing on female sports teams. Here's Stephanie Gosk.
Tonight, President Trump calling it a big win. while civil rights advocates slam it as a blow to transgender rights. The Supreme Court's conservative majority upholding state laws banning transgender girls and women from playing on female sports teams in public schools. Justice Brett Kavanaugh writing, allowing only biological females to play on women's and girls' teams can reduce the risk of physical injury and ensure fair competition. But the ACLU, representing the two transgender athletes in the case, calling the decision devastating.
It's not just about winning trophies, it's about learning life lessons.
27 states currently ban transgender women and girls from participating in female sports, with an NBC News poll last year showing over 75% of Americans support those bans.
Thank the Lord!
Macy Petty Charles celebrating today's decision. She competed against a transgender athlete and hopes more states will pass bans.
I would hope that it would embolden every state to protect those female athletes, and I hope that they themselves are emboldened today to take action, to speak up for what they know is right.
But critics of the ruling see a silver lining.
So you see this as a loss, but not as big of a loss as it maybe could have been.
Absolutely. They didn't write a ticket, for the other side to claim that you can discriminate against transgender people in all other contexts.
Stephanie is joining us now. And Steph, for states that do allow transgender athletes in women's sports, they can keep that in place, right?
Yeah, Hallie, this Supreme Court decision does not compel them to change their laws, but there are already lawsuits in some of those places to try and force bans. Hallie?
Stephanie Gosk, thank you. Also tonight, we are following a major hazmat scare just outside Philadelphia after a freight train derailed, sending emergency crews racing to make sure nothing dangerous was leaking. NBC 10 Philadelphia's Deanna Durante is on the scene.
This is the scene outside Philadelphia tonight after a freight train derailed, sending more than a dozen cars off the tracks. New video showing some of the cars overturned and twisted across the rails. It happened around 2 this afternoon, with first responders and hazmat crews rushing to the scene.
There were 72 total cars. The concern at the time was that 3 were designated as hazmat material. The initial threat was that there could have been a leak.
Officials warning the train was carrying hazardous materials.
There was an alcohol substance in one, and I believe an acid in another.
Nearby residents and businesses were ordered to evacuate and others to shelter in place, close their windows, and turn off the air conditioning.
But we're very thankful that nothing is leaking and there was no passengers on the freight train whatsoever.
That evacuation order now lifted after no leaks were found. A spokesperson for the train company telling NBC News no one was hurt, as crews remain on scene working to clear the twisted train cars from the tracks.
Deanna is joining us now from the scene. Deanna, sounds like we still don't know how the train derailed in the first place.
That's going to take some time. The work right now that's happening about a quarter mile from where we're standing, road still closed here, is to get those twisted cars off the tracks. Once that happens, investigators can then take a look at the ground below those cars, the tracks themselves, and determine what caused this. Anything from speed to weather could be a factor here. In the meantime, it has been a nightmare for commuters, those trying to get home by car and those trying to get home by rail. A commuter line has been shut down for most of the day. Hallie?
Deanna Durante, thank you. Now to the dangerous heat wave set to bake some 170 million people, with the Midwest already boiling. And the heat in the West is fueling fast-moving wildfires across that region. Dana Griffin has the latest.
Tonight, a massive heat wave is baking half the country, with temperatures expected to soar into the high 90s across most of the Northeast and Midwest. And it'll feel even hotter. The heat index already topping 100 in Chicago, St. Louis, and Milwaukee, where crews battling a massive fire are on reduced work cycles.
We're encouraging them to take their coats off, cool off, rehydrate, get some water. We are also increasing their recovery time.
And in Philadelphia, World Cup organizers will be scaling back viewing schedules at several fan fests. Out west, these are the extremely dry, windy conditions fueling massive wildfires. This ring camera video capturing the ferocious Aspen Acres fire in Colorado. It's crazy. Forcing hundreds to evacuate and destroying more than 150 structures. In Utah, evacuees allowed back into the cottonwood burn zone for the first time.
We had 5 minutes to get what we could. It was moving pretty quick. It was very quick. It sounded like a freight train. It was unreal.
Jim Stetler and Cindy Abbott, who manage campgrounds on the mountain, lost everything.
This community has been just by far the strongest, most wonderful, supportive community that I've ever been in my life.
A dangerous double threat, hammering more than half the country.
Dana is with us live from Beaver, Utah. And Dana, it doesn't look like there's much relief for firefighters anytime soon.
Yeah, exactly. And Hallie, officials are concerned as temperatures increase, creating drier conditions. The governors of both Colorado and Utah now warning people to be mindful in how they celebrate to prevent starting new fires. Here in Utah, most fireworks are now banned. Hallie?
And smoke protection critical, too. Dana Griffin, thank you. Let's get right to Al Roker now, who's tracking this dangerous heat. And Al, it's going to get worse before it gets better, right?
Unfortunately, Hallie, you can see this dome of high pressure. That's causing the problems. Plus, we've got what we call these ridge riders coming up and over that. And so we're looking at strong storms firing up from the northeast into the Rockies. Heat indexes tomorrow, triple digits, Boston, Louisville, Little Rock, down to New Orleans. Tomorrow, that expands into New York with a heat index of 108, 105 in St. Louis. Louisville going to feel like 111. And as you can see, right through the July 4th weekend, dangerously warm temperatures with triple-digit air temperatures. And factor in that humidity, Hallie, we're talking heat indexes well into the 100s. We'll have the latest tomorrow morning on Today. Hallie?
A busy few days for you, Al Roker. Thank you. Breaking late tonight now, President Trump releasing his financial disclosure forms, and they're revealing huge profits from cryptocurrency. Gabe Gutierrez is at the White House. And Gabe, we're talking about more than $1 billion from crypto here.
Yes, Hallie, the president reported earning at least $1.2 billion in 2025 from crypto and meme coin related businesses. That includes more than $588 million from sales by World Liberty Financial, the crypto firm whose co-founders include the president and his sons. The Trump administration has loosened restrictions on the crypto industry, but the White House insists this is not a conflict of interest and that the president's actions have been in the best interest of the American people. This financial disclosure is 927 pages, and the Trump Organization telling NBC News the breadth and depth of this filing further underscores our commitment to transparency. Hallie?
Gabe Gutierrez at the White House, thank you. We are back in 60 seconds with a terrifying story out of Central Florida. The woman killed in an alligator attack and the dramatic 911 calls from her friends. And Serena Williams' singles comeback, how the player many consider the greatest ever performed today at center court. Plus, the human chain in Virginia as first responders work together to save a driver from a sinking car. We're back with new developments in a deadly alligator attack in Florida. Officials now identifying the victim as we're hearing for the first time the desperate 911 calls in the moments after the attack. And a warning here, that audio is difficult to listen to. Here's Liz Kreutz.
Tonight, we're hearing the urgent 911 call after a woman was attacked and killed by a massive alligator in Central Florida.
He's leaving.
Officials identifying the victim as 31-year-old Brittany Clark, who authorities say was hiking at a state park outside Orlando with her boyfriend and best friend Sunday when they stopped to swim and cool off in a shallow river about 3 feet deep. It was then that the massive alligator struck, her friends frantically calling 911.
Somebody got bit by a gator.
Bad, real bad. Please hurry. Please hurry. She's losing a lot of breath.
Over the next 10 minutes, the operator stays on the phone as Clark screams out in pain while her friends try to move her to safety.
I can't move. No, it's okay. We're good.
No, we're not.
And how bad is the bite? Horrible. Her arm is dislocated. Almost like dislocated. Both her arms. Both her arms are off, like basically.
As they wait for help, you can hear the increasing desperation. Eventually, first responders arrive, but sadly, the injury's too great. Officials say Clark died on her way to the hospital.
And tonight, Brittany's boyfriend tells us she was an amazing, strong, and caring person who loved being out on the water. He says never in a million years could he have expected this nightmare. Hallie?
A nightmare indeed. Liz Kreutz, thank you. We are back in a moment with much more, including history on the court as Serena Williams returns to Wimbledon. Plus, a man's surprise encounter with a bear riding shotgun. How he and the bear reacted next. Back now with a moment both historic and disappointing at Wimbledon today. 23-time Grand Slam champion Serena Williams stepping out onto center court for her first singles match since she retired in 2022. The legend coming from behind to force a decisive third set, but she couldn't get all the way there, falling just short of victory. But get ready to see her again. She'll be back Thursday for doubles with her sister Venus. We'll be watching. And take a look at this dramatic water rescue in Virginia. Somebody trapped inside a sinking car in Fairfax County. You see these first responders, they're forming a human chain, some of them on land, others wading into the water to try to reach the driver in time. They did. They pulled that person out and managed to bring them back safely to land. And in Colorado, take a look at this. A man shocked to find a surprise passenger in his front seat. Look, he opens the door of the pickup. That's a wild bear popping its head out. It doesn't leave, so the guy gets a plank, he pokes it. That kind of does the trick. Took a couple of pokes with the bear jumping out, getting chased away. No word yet on how that bear got inside. When we come back, our series, Great Americans. The legendary Tuskegee Airmen broke racial barriers in World War II. Now, how one of their descendants is helping the future take flight. Every night this week, as we approach the 250th anniversary of America, we are ending our broadcast with our series, Great Americans. And tonight, Tom has the story of how the Tuskegee Airmen, the legendary black fighter pilots from World War II, are shaping this country even today. Our Great American tonight, retired Air Force pilot Alex Cole.
In the air, pilot Alex Cole knows he's flying on the shoulders of giants.
My great-uncle was an original Tuskegee Airman.
Pilots trained the Tuskegee way go on to earn high praise and wide acclaim.
The Tuskegee Airmen were America's first group of black aviators, serving in World War II during a time of racial segregation.
Squadron after squadron out of Tuskegee, flying P-40s first, tough little planes, then striking with Thunderbolts.
And I recognize that for not the strides that they went through, that I wouldn't be here where I am today.
Lieutenant Colonel Cole's journey began with the Air Force, serving 2 decades with tours in Iraq and Afghanistan. Then he became a presidential pilot, flying vice presidents and senior cabinet officials during the Bush and Obama administrations.
This is the age that we started wanting to learn how to fly.
Lieutenant Colonel Cole, now retired from active duty, has a new mission. Working with kids at Legacy Flight Academy.
Are you guys ready to fly?
His goal, to inspire the next generation of aviators.
In my heart, it's about teaching them that there is an opportunity out here to learn, do something that you may not have thought about, and expose them to that so that they can dream.
For some, those dreams already taking flight.
It was fun. I got to take off, and I was like 1,000 feet in the air.
I'm excited to just like feel how it is to be a pilot.
I find it interesting to try new things, and I am pretty interested in aviation.
Wow. The limitless possibilities of the sky.
Looks so different from up here.
Cole says echo the ever-expanding potential of the American dream.
Keep flying. We're in this continuous growth process of learning about who we are as a country, learning about our history, sharing our history, and growing from that point.
They didn't know what the future would be, but many hoped they'd get the chance to fly and fight in the air.
History, rooted in the legacy of the Tuskegee Airmen, continuing to soar.
The main thing I love about America is our diversity. And I love how beautiful our country is. We're a beautiful country and a powerful one that tries to set the standard. We don't always meet it, but our effort is to try to set the standard for the rest of the world.
A beautiful thought and a truly great American. That's Nightly News for this Tuesday. I'm Hallie Jackson. For all of us here at NBC, thanks for watching and have a great night.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.